Hi, I'm Russ Heaps, and welcome to this segment of Beer to Whiskey. On my eternal quest to spread the gospel of good taste, today I find myself in Dallas, and I'm here at the Community Beer Company, and just checking things out. We're doing things a little different. You can probably hear the racket. You can probably see the canning machine going. We thought it might be kind of fun, since they were canning today, to come back here and sort of have that in the background. With me today I have Corey Dickinson. He is sort of the jack of all trades when it comes to marketing and promotions and events and those sorts of things. And so Corey, tell me a little bit about the background of the brewery. How long has it been here? Who owns the thing?
Sure. Yeah. So we started brewing about 5 years ago. We just had our 5-year anniversary a few weeks back, actually. It was an awesome party. We had just over 50 beers on tap, and about 2,000 people came out.
Wow.
For it. It was awesome. It was a great celebration. It's basically founded two guys, Kevin Carr and Jamie Fulton. Kevin had the business acumen. This is his 6th business, actually. And Jamie came from a beer background. So he owned a brew pub at one point in Fort Worth. He worked for Newland Systems, which is a company that manufactures all of our brewing equipment, as a contractor. So the idea really was, at the time, there was no local beer to Dallas. The oldest brewery in Dallas is, I think, just hit 6 years not long ago.
Really?
So yeah, go figure.
Oh wow.
And so the idea for this place started when there wasn't any local beer, and Kevin and Jamie were tired of going to local bars and restaurants and asking for local beer and getting Shinerbach. And nothing against Shinerbach, but it's not local to Dallas, and it's not really craft anymore. So these guys teamed up, and the idea was to create a hub for Dallas. Beer is a communal beverage, right? It's meant to bring people together.
Sure.
It's meant to be enjoyed together. It's not supposed to be exclusive or elitist in any way, and that's really where the name comes from. Community. It's meant to be enjoyed with your friends and your family in the community. And so we have a big space, as you probably saw when you came in. We do a lot of events here, and on any given day we'll have anywhere from just a couple hundred people coming out to drink beer, all the way up to 500 or 1,000 sometimes for a Saturday tour and open house. So it's a gathering place to enjoy good beer. That's the idea.
Full disclosure, one of the reasons we're not in the tap room is because there's an event going on in there right now. So, while this seemed like a clever idea, we'll
see how this thing turns out, man. It might be a gem. I don't know.
You never know. You never know. So, how did you get involved?
I moved here just over 4 years ago from Denver. I was running a brew pub in Denver, and the beer scene in Texas was booming. I mean, it was just at that tipping point, if you will, where laws were starting to change, and there was a lot of opportunity there. And so I was in the process of relocating, and I kind of, to be honest with you, I walked in the back door. I met with Kevin and Jamie, and kind of not only did I get to try some of Jamie's beers, but got an idea of what kind of culture they were trying to create and their vision for not only community but craft beer in Dallas, because like I said, there really wasn't much of anything. And I identified with a lot of their values, I guess you could say, and with Jamie's taste in beer and brewing. And so I came to work with them to kind of get the tap room up and running, and and that kind of parlayed into some marketing stuff, some event stuff, some packaging stuff. So I kind of, day to day, I'm all over the place, but it's fun. And it's been an amazing chance for us to help develop the beer culture in North Texas. I didn't have that opportunity in Colorado,
that's been going for a long time.
They kind of laid the groundwork.
Sure.
But it's really difficult to see a lot of big growth and opportunity in a market that's established. And so we have a lot of guys from all over the country that have been in the industry in different breweries and brew pubs, and so we've all kind of taken elements from different parts of the country that we love, the beer scene that we love, and kind of made it our own here in Dallas. And it's been a hell of a ride.
Is Jamie still pretty much overseeing all the brewing, or is there somebody else has he kind of backed off that a little bit?
Well, no, I mean Jamie's still very much hands-on. I mean, you saw him behind the bar having a beer earlier after his shift. He's here every day, and he's involved in everything from the day-to-day brewing and packaging operations to supply chain, making sure that we have the ingredients that we need for years to come, like hops and grain and that kind of stuff. And so he's very much involved, and he's an extremely talented guy. I mean, honestly, he's won a lot of awards at Great American Beer Festival, World Beer Cup for his beer, and he's a wealth of knowledge. It's been an amazing experience to work with him for sure.
Is there anything that Community Beer Company specializes in brewing, or is there anything in particular that you guys do a lot of? Either because you think that's where the demand is, or because you just think that's what you're really good at.
Over the years, I think we've changed our vision a little bit to become more in line with the market and the demand there versus just what we want to drink and make.
Right.
As fun as that is, we've learned that we're a bunch of beer nerds, and maybe that's not always the other 99% of beer drinkers out there.
Yeah.
But Jamie, I think he would probably label himself as like a traditional brewer. I think his favorite styles to drink are your German style lagers. Our ESB, our English style extra special bitter, is one of his favorite beers. So he likes a lot of those kind of clean, very drinkable beers, which are very difficult to make, and I think he likes that challenge. But over the years, he's been a little bit more open to doing some kind of some experimental and some weird stuff. But I think that's his style. Our IPA is our biggest seller, Mosaic IPA, by far and away. It's an 8.6% hop forward West Coast style IPA that features the Mosaic hop, which is you get a lot of like mango, papaya, blueberry flavor, so very tropical. And I think with
but yet it's not. I had some earlier. Yeah, it's not real hoppy.
It's balanced out by a big malt backbone. So there's definitely some residual sweetness from the malt. And I think these days the American craft beer scene is generally going in the direction of more hops and more booze. It's been going that way for a while now.
Right.
So that's our best seller. But I think if you ask anybody here what they drink the most of, it's our public ale. Like I said, it's a traditional English style ESB. So kind of bready with you get a lot of like herbal notes from the hops. It's mostly, it's East Kent Golding EKG hops, and Maris Otter is the malt, the predominant malt that we use in that beer. And it's got a lot of character. It's very drinkable at 5.5%. In fact, it took gold at GABF 2 years in a row.
Wow.
And it's a beer that we love. Unfortunately, not as many people, like that out in the market because it's not hoppy enough, it's not boozy enough. It's, it's just one of those beers that falls in that weird kind of, area between light lagers and IPAs, which are kind of the two polarizing styles here in Texas, I would say,
So I forget, what are you drinking? Are you drinking Mosaic, or are you drinking?
Well, yeah. So I'm drinking a very actually oak Mosaic for the camera. So it's a one-off. It's a seasonal variation that we do of our IPA, and what we do is we take that beer and post-fermentation we recirculate it around toasted oak spirals. So you don't want to barrel age IPAs. Hops are vegetable and they degrade over time, and so you barrel age an IPA and you lose a lot of that, floral, aromatic, tropical flavor that we love from Mosaic IPA. So by recirculating it around these long toasted oak spirals, we can infuse some barrel aged flavors like vanillin from the oak. You get, which translates into kind of vanilla and honey and toasted coconut.
Right.
You can infuse our IPA with those flavors. It only takes a few days, so you're not degrading the hops. So it's just an interesting, slightly different take on an IPA. So we do that once a year in 4-packs. Fun.
Speaking of coconut, what am I drinking?
Yeah, so this is the second time only that we've ever poured the beer you're drinking. That's a big one. It all starts as Legion, which is our Russian Imperial Stout. That particular version we aged in rum barrels, actually like the barrel that we're drinking on right now. So freshly dumped Jamaican rum barrels, we let it sit for about, I think this batch was about 8-9 months, so just under a year. We then took that barrel-aged Imperial Stout and aged it again on coconut. So I think, you know, the coconut works really well with the sweetness from the rum. It's still pretty boozy, coming in at just under 12%.
Yeah.
But it's a neat beer, and we change the barrels every year with that barrel-aged Legion. So it's a lot of fun to try something different every year.
When you say something different, you mean different kinds of liquor?
Different barrels, yeah. Different, yeah. So we've done everything from, you know, last year was Macallan Scotch. The year before was Woodford Reserve. The year before that was, I think, Breckenridge Distillery out of Colorado. We've done a lot of different distilleries.
Yeah.
But we keep the base beer the same. It's fun to see how the different spirits play with the beer, and it's also fun to see how the market reacts, because every year it's somebody's favorite and somebody's least favorite. Like, undoubtedly, somebody's like, "This is the best version yet," and then there's somebody right next to them that's like, "Nope, I like the last one way more. This is my least favorite."
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun to kind of play around with every year.
So if you're someplace and you can't get one of Community's beers, what's your go-to? What's your backup that you drink with some regularity?
It'll depend on where I'm at. You know, I think it's, and I think based on what you do, you would agree that there's always something brewed locally. I mean, nowadays every market has its own local beers and its own local flavors and styles that they're kind of, putting out. And so I'm always trying to find something that's local. And it's not necessarily a specific style, but I love to see what different cities and different towns are doing, because I think it's kind of a cool, insight into what people are up, what people are drinking and the culture in that city. I guess my go-to style these days, well, we're coming out of winter. I mean, I'm a stout and porter guy, and I'll drink them year round. I love.
Me too.
I don't care if it's 104 degrees here in Texas. I'll still drink a stout or porter. I just think they're very complex beers, and I love the depth of flavor. But on the flip side, when it is 100 degrees here in Texas, man, a good old-fashioned Pilsner, nothing beats it, especially after like a run or working out. So there's that, and then a newer style that's emerging a lot is the Goto, which is a salted sour German wheat beer. Those are always kind of fun in the summertime, but I think my go-to is going to be a dark beer. That's me.
We're on the same side of this issue.
Yeah.
Big time. So this is a question I ask almost everybody. What was the beer that turned you on to craft beers?
Oh, man.
Remember?
Yeah. So I grew up in New Jersey, and I went to college in Boulder, Colorado.
Which exit?
It depends on which highway, man. It really depends on the highway. But we're right outside of New York City, and at the time there really wasn't local beer in New Jersey, and there actually really wasn't local beer in New York, with the exception of Brooklyn. But I moved out to Boulder, Colorado, which was, it still is kind of a craft beer mecca.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was just, it blew my mind. The amount of beer, the amount of quality beer there is in that town, and the amount of impact that the breweries have in the culture of the town was huge. But to this day, man, hazed and infused from Boulder Brewing, that's a really cool beer. But at the time it's a hoppy pale ale. But at the time there wasn't a lot of beers like that. Now it's kind of they're a dime a dozen. But that was one of them for sure. 90 Shilling from Odell. That was another beer that I was like, man, this is fantastic. And then Two Below, which was New Belgium's original winter release years ago.
Okay. And
I think now they've changed it and tweaked the recipe, and now it's called Accumulation, although I'm not sure it's the same beer. Those three beers, that changed it for me.
You know, I have not. I think I have yet to talk to anybody doing this with a Texas brewery and had them not mention New Belgium.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, usually it's Fat Tire, but that brewery comes up time after time after time after time.
And there's a really good reason for it.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about the craft beer industry in the United States, you can't ignore. I mean, really, Sierra Nevada, New Belgium, and I even looked at Lagunitas maybe as well. But and for me, New Belgium was always, especially living in Colorado, they did so much for beer, for craft beer. It's undeniable. The kind of footprint that they've had, they make incredible beer. I mean, they still do make fantastic beers. The brewery is unreal.
They're East Coast breweries like in my backyard.
I've never been. I've heard about it.
I haven't either, and I'm ashamed to say that.
It's in your backyard, man.
Yeah, I've been to Sierra Nevada several times, but I've yet to be gone to New Belgium.
And here you are drinking in Texas.
How do you explain that? How do you explain that?
Yeah, it's cool to see a lot of the North Carolina beer scene come. North Carolina's always been doing some. I mean, especially in the Asheville area, but really the whole Southeast has started to really make a name for themselves.
Big time.
But you're seeing that all over the country. If you look back 5 years ago, even there was a lot of dead areas in the country where you couldn't get local beer, and that's not really the case anymore. It's very cool to see every region kind of coming out, and everybody's doing something special. Every region has their beers that are just killer beers.
Yeah.
People swear by, Pacific Northwest, Oregon, Washington, or Cali, or they're diehard Colorado guys or Vermont. But I think these days, you can pick a state and find a brewery or two that are doing some amazing stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's different from the wine industry that in the United States so much of the wine industry is concentrated in California, and that's kind of, although Virginia's doing some very nice stuff and some other places, but beer everywhere,
Yeah, there's a lot of different reasons for that, but I think the biggest thing about it is the culture behind beer. I think the difference between going to a wine bar and a beer bar, straight up, and I'm generalizing here, of course, but whoever the person is behind the bar. In a wine bar, theoretically, if you don't know exactly what you're looking for or you don't know what you're talking about, it's kind of it's a very intimidating thing.
Yeah.
You kind of feel maybe not welcome. You walk into a craft beer bar, like the person behind the bar, if you don't know anything about craft beer, they're going to be excited about it. They're going to be excited to talk to you about it, and they're going to want you to try everything. And they're going to try this, try that.
Yeah.
And I don't think you see that in other beverage industries.
Right.
And so the willingness to share is huge in craft beer. And so I think
it's a
part
grassroots.
of the,
it's a very democratized beverage.
And I think that has a lot to do with the growing trends in every state, is that people really do want to share beer. They want it, it's so
well, with that, I think we've covered all the ground. Thanks for having us.
No, welcome back to Texas, I should say.
Yeah.
Welcome to North Texas.
Yep, Texas, Miss Lily.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Cheers.